I'm Darian Alexis, and welcome to a 20-something survival guide, the place where you and me learn to survive and thrive in our 20s and beyond. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a 20-something survival guide. I'm your host, Darian Alexis, and today we are talking about life beyond the 9 to 5. And so there's a few different ways this episode can dangle. However, I thought maybe we could make it a series. And so for the first part of our series, I brought my very best friend, Marissa. She is a full-time hairstylist in New York City. So Marissa, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Of course. I'm honored for you to be here. I was thinking of what episode to bring you on. I'm like, she lives in New York. I could talk about that. But then I posted it on the story and everyone's like, we want to know what it's like to be a hairstylist. What's it like living in a not 9 to 5? Because 9 to 5 can be trash. So can you introduce yourself a little bit further? Talk about who you are, where you come from, what you're doing.
Sure. My name is Marissa Basso. I'm from Ohio, and I moved to New York about 6 years ago to be a hairstylist there. I just always knew that office life wasn't really for me. I always saw my mom kind of working in an office doing a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and I just kind of saw it didn't make her happy. And I come from a very creative family. Even in college, she was a music major. My dad was a photography major and went on to be part of the Cleveland News. So I just kind of always saw myself in more of an active role, not really sitting behind a desk. And it took me a while to realize I wanted to do hair. I wanted to be a chef first, but that's another story. But yeah, I love working outside of the 9 to 5.
No, that's awesome. I did want to ask you that, just your personal experience with how you decided that you didn't want to go to college. So it all started with your parents.
Yeah, I feel I don't know if it was necessarily just my parents. I think it was also the fact that I never really saw myself in any path that was in an office job. Even my uncle, who's a college professor, he mentioned me going into even lab work because I love science and I always loved chemistry. But, hair actually involves a lot of chemistry. And so that's been really fun for me. But yeah, just kind of going back in the day, I was obsessed with the idea of being a chef. I loved Top Chef and just loved food in general, I think. And then when I got older, I kind of felt I had to go back to the drawing board. I was originally going to go to culinary school, but I felt I just didn't have any of the basic technical skills to go to culinary school. I had watched so many food shows on TV, and I loved them, but I didn't really practice that much in the kitchen. I made very basic meals all the time, and I just had a lot of insecurity going into that. And my family did kind of make fun of me to an extent because I didn't like touching a lot of raw materials and stuff.
Me, I do not like to touch raw meat. That's literally why I was a vegetarian for 2 years, because it's just the thought of touching raw chicken, uncooked chicken.
Oh, disgusting. That's
so
why
gross.
I was okay, I'll be a pastry chef.
Yeah.
And that was my goal for a really long time. I wanted to be a pastry chef. And then it was this class that we had in high school, freshman success, that kind of made us go back to our kind of dial everything back and think about what we want out of our lives and what path we're going to take. And I feel I was the only one that really saw that much value in that class, but it really did help me realize that I wanted to go into beauty. I went back to what do I actually like? And I remembered that I used to be obsessed with watching Michelle Phan on YouTube, who I argue was the first YouTube makeup artist. And she's known for doing these dramatic transformations back in the day. It's not so much that anymore, but with that and also the popularity of Snapchat, I had actually also loved Shay Mitchell's story and how much she would post that. And her team would always get her ready in the morning. So I actually wanted to be a celebrity makeup artist.
Wow.
And go to California. I wanted to get people ready in the morning. And it wasn't until I actually started at Paul Mitchell, because I knew that I wanted well-rounded skills just for something to fall back on, that I completely fell in love with hair and I forgot about makeup. And I just realized that all my love was for hair. I'll do makeup for people every once in a while, but my love is cutting and coloring.
For me, as you guys know, I am in a 9 to 5. And I would just like to say that a 9 to 5 is not a 9 to 5. I'm working like 7:30 to 5 with no lunch. So is it the same way for you? Like, do you get breaks? Like, is it like what kind of hours are you working?
I don't get breaks unless I make my own breaks. That is actually something that's really common in hair salons where hairstylists work. We're kind of just like go, 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 especially at busier shops. I'm really fortunate where I work is really booked and busy. There are a lot of days when I don't really get to eat until like I leave work. And sometimes I have the sweetest clients that have come to me for like a few years where sometimes I'll come to greet them and they can kind of tell that like I've been really busy all day and they're like, take a second for yourself. And I kind of have to be like, we got to keep on rolling. Like, it is okay. I'll make it work. I'll drink more coffee. It is fine. My schedule actually is laid out is a 4-day schedule. On 4 days, off for 3. I broke up my schedule. I had to request this schedule, but I love this schedule. Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. So I have Tuesday, Wednesday off, and that is also very helpful because my partner also works in a service job. So we get those days together. And then I have Saturday, which is really nice. And having your weekend in the middle of the week is nice because you can kind of go out and do other things that aren't as busy as if they were like a Saturday, Sunday. Mm-hmm. But on those days that I'm on, I work 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Most of the time I don't get to leave at 7. But that's just because of my booking, and I have great clients who really want to come back to me, and I love to dedicate like my time to those clients and really just like make sure that both of us love how the hair came out. So I'm there until usually like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I eat when I can. It is what it is. I love my job.
I love that you have a job that you love and that you're passionate about. I think one of the reasons why people kind of stray away or don't like the 9 to 5 is because you're working those set hours every day. I will caution, I think it is kind of nice to have that stability sometimes. And I think that is why sometimes people do not break away from that. Yes. But have you always been able to like set your hours and book your clients how you want to, or is that something that's changed as you've moved along in the profession?
So that's something that is bittersweet, like the flexibility of our hours, because I can kind of take off time where I want. Partner and I just went on like a spontaneous road trip to Maine, and I was able to take off a Monday, and luckily all of my clients were very cool about it, and we're just like, yeah, like I moved them to a Saturday. Saturday actually worked better for most of them, but you know, I can't take off like an extended amount of time. I had a good client that just this week was telling me that she's actually going to Europe for a whole month. And I think that's so fun. But I unfortunately wouldn't be able to do that because at that point, my clients would just start seeing other people.
Oh my
I can't be out of the salon that long. I can be out of the salon for about 2 weeks max before it starts to overwhelm my schedule.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about it that way because I also cannot go to Europe for a month, but that's because I just don't have that much vacation time and I don't have the money. Let's be real.
Let's be real.
So when you first got into like cosmetology, hair school, everything, can you talk a little bit about some of the initial challenges you faced?
I feel like for me, I have a really hard time not being good at something right away.
I'm not good at anything.
I hate starting out at a new hobby and not being good at it.
No, me either. Okay.
I started beauty school the fall after my senior year of high school. So when everyone else was going to college, I went to beauty school.
And was that hard for you, seeing your friends go to college? Or were you like, I know like the 9 to 5 route isn't for me. I know I want to do this.
What's tough is I always knew the 9 to 5 route wasn't for me. And I always kind of wished that there was some middle ground where I could still live on a college campus and go to beauty school. Part of me still felt that way. I do feel like I missed out on that. But, you know, you win some and you lose some. There's pros and cons to everything. And I chose this path and I lost out on that. But it is what it is.
I think it's really just more so the like walkable city. In college, you're in a bubble.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. I feel like that would have been a challenge for me because honestly, in a perfect world, I think I would have skipped the 9 to 5 too and just immediately gone into content creation because I think you learn so much more through doing skills opposed to going to college and learning about like the theory behind it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. So like I kind of wish I didn't go to school because now I have all this debt.
Yeah.
And my 9 to 5 isn't even affording me enough money to pay for said debt. So I do think that that is a benefit, like to not go to college. And I think more people are noticing that nowadays. But what are some of the other challenges that you faced beyond not being able to live on a college campus?
There's a few challenges that came with it. I think the main one was just like the frustration and kind of the anxiety that I had over taking human clients. At Paul Mitchell, where I went, we got 3 months of theory where you're just like on mannequin heads and doing bookwork and stuff. And then you do 5 friends and family, and then you go on the floor. And I had so much anxiety over taking real clients because I just didn't want to mess anything up. What you see in the mirror is your whole image, and it affects your
sense of self.
Yeah, your sense of self and your confidence so much. So, like, you could even making somebody's like bangs a little lopsided. It is everything.
So that is so valid because I've gotten my hair color done before and it was not what I expected, and I literally cried and was miserable till I got it fixed.
And that's stuck with me. I'm gonna be very candid right now. I had a friendship that kind of came to an end because I felt so terrible that I gave her a bad haircut, but she kept reminding me like how bad it was making her feel. As I was trying to get her in, because I felt terrible, I wanted to fix the haircut for her. So I was giving her all this availability. I actually hooked her up with like our curl specialist and like thought that like that would be fun, but all of these appointments kept falling through. Like she kept on not being able to make them, and I was trying so hard to fix the problem, and the timing didn't work for her. It would actually just like make me feel worse for giving her a bad haircut as I was trying to help her fix it.
There's like, it's a hard line when your friend provides a service.
Yeah.
I also like kind of help my friends with like marketing and stuff like that, but it's like you want to pay your friends for the service.
Pay your friends.
But at like the same time, it's like, I'm poor. So like,
yeah, it's definitely a fine line. I cut my boyfriend's hair for free, okay? Like I'll do discounted services for like people who are near and dear to me, but there's also something to be said about just being fully supportive of a friend and paying full price when they didn't ask for it.
Definitely. I think about that all the time too, especially because my brother also went the non-9 to 5 route. He works in landscaping. You have to pay for the products. Like you have to pay for the mulch. That's expensive. You have to pay for the trucks. You know, of course they want to give you a discount, but they're still putting in the hard work. So it definitely is a fine line there too.
I also feel like a challenge for me, I don't know if this affected like a lot of other people my age, but it affected me a lot, especially moving to New York, where when you're in the position to be an assistant, and I knew leaving beauty school that I wanted to be an assistant. Some people are naturally gifted and they are rock stars in beauty school and can get a chair right away. I went to school with a few of those people. I was not one of those. I definitely needed to hone my skills a little bit more.
We love a self-aware queen.
I was like, I need to be an assistant. I need to watch other people work and practice my stuff because I wanted to make sure that I could give people like really solid hair. And I mean, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. I moved to New York City at 20 years old. And I right away decided I wanted to work at like a Soho salon, and it was kind of a perfect situation where there was a stylist there that had actually gone to my beauty school in Cleveland. So I had like been communicating with him. It was a departmentalized salon. I thought I only wanted to do color back in those days. I didn't want to do haircutting. I am a hairstylist, which means that I do everything. But at this salon, if you were a stylist, that means you only cut and like styled hair.
Whoa.
I was a color apprentice, so I would have only done the color. And then as I was working in the space, I just decided that I didn't like it. I think there's something to be said for like that salon itself and the fact that it was deep in Soho and it was like a different clientele and whatever, but I have quite a few tattoos and I just felt very out of place. They assumed that I wasn't already licensed and that I wasn't already a professional. And that actually happens a lot when you're an assistant. And it's something where you just kind of have to, like, keep your spirits up because I don't think people always, like, did it, like, maliciously. There were a few times at that salon where I did feel like I got picked on by a few of the clients because of the way I looked because I was one of the more alternative people in the space. And I was young. I was only 20 years old. But now I definitely have more of a blunt approach. As a young stylist behind the chair, I'm only 26 years old at this point, and I am a full-time stylist, but I don't let myself be pushed around because of my age. And I think that was something that I instilled in myself because of that experience at that salon and just how much I felt like I was kind of talked down to, and people just assumed that I like didn't know what I was doing and that I wasn't a licensed professional, and that's what I was.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people probably face that too if they decide to go the non-traditional 9 to 5 route, or even if you do go to the 9 to 5 route when you're first starting out in your career. I think a lot of times people, not that it's ageism or whatnot, but even my brother, he is an entrepreneur. He has his own business, and I think he gets pushed around because he's 24 and he's running a full business with employees, but they take advantage of him because he's younger. And I think that that is a horrible challenge that you have to face if you are going that route. So what are some of the ways you kind of overcame this? Is it just telling yourself and reassuring yourself that you're meant to be there, or is there any strategies?
I definitely think it's a lot of self-reassurance and just like standing your ground. Like me and Derek are kind of in similar positions there, where he started his company so early, just like passing business cards around the neighborhood, and then was able to make enough money to then like buy his own equipment and everything. For like me, I also started really young because I guess I didn't realize until being in beauty school and even after that not a lot of people go to beauty school right away. A lot of people try something else first and then go to beauty school. I have a lot of friends that went to college first, were in the military first, had other careers first. And people just don't always expect to sit down for a haircut and be met by a 26-year-old.
And for cosmetology or like hairstylist, do you have to have a license to practice?
Yes.
And do you have to go to cosmetology school to get that license?
Now you do, yes.
Okay.
Another thing that I love about my company, we do quarterly education and we get free classes by like from the brands that we carry. A specialist the other day come in and he was actually alluding to how he came up in the industry and he was just like an apprentice in the salon. Back in the day, you used to be able to do that. Just be an apprentice, go take the test. But either way, you still had to take the test and get licensure. Now you have to go through beauty school. And there's a whole streamlined like system in how you get behind the chair. And then once you're behind the chair, you have to renew every couple of years. But it's all state by state too.
Okay, interesting. Is there any other challenges that you feel like you faced when you first started out?
There were plenty of times where I thought to myself, like, am I even good at this? Like, should I still try?
Oh my gosh.
Like,
I love that you brought up that point because that is exactly how I feel with content creation or like
so hard.
podcasting. Like there's podcasters that are out here full time, like doing, like just sitting here talking, just interviewing. I'm doing the whole kit and caboodle. Like we are in a podcast studio in the middle of Connecticut. Like I'm doing the editing, I'm doing the audio, I'm doing the questions, I'm doing the everything, okay?
And you're killing it.
Oh, thank you. But like also, like I'm also killing it. Like trash. No, I'm just kidding. No, but it's just like so much imposter syndrome that comes with that, which is what you were saying before. It's you just always feel like you're not good enough, and we were just literally fed under our will, like shoved down our throats. You go to college, you get your degree, you buy house, you marry, you have children, voila. And I feel like just more and more these days we're realizing that that is just not the ish for everyone. And it's honestly, even with the economy, like it's not even possible sometimes. So if you're thinking about breaking free from the 9 to 5, if you're currently in a 9 to 5, or if you're listening from the other end, if you are a hairstylist and you're thinking you want a little bit more stability or something of that sort, like I hope this episode helps you in some way.
Yeah, and just know that like nobody's perfect at first. And I had such a hard time reminding myself of that. I think because there were a few girls in my beauty school that were like really great at highlighting and balayaging that I was really hard on myself, and I was like, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
So it really stuck with me. One of my clients has been coming to me for the last 3 years, and I got candid with her. She has like really dark black hair, and we give her like really icy highlights, and it takes a long time and it's a lot of work, and she was one of my first clients behind the chair. And I actually told her that. I was like, it's kind of fun looking at your hair when you come in because I can tell what are the older highlights and like what are the newer ones, because my work has changed so much over the last 3 years, and her hair's still so long that you can see a lot of the work that's still left behind. And she was really sweet about it. She was like, I literally had no idea that I was like your first week behind the chair, because it was literally my first week, and she's still with me.
That's amazing. I just think it's so nice to be able to like see the growth in your work, no matter what it is. Landscaping, content creation, hair. You have to put in work in order to get where you want to be. And as you said, like, we're all going to fail till we get there. And that's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to take risks. And if the risks don't work out, as I've said on this podcast before, it's okay to 360 your life or 180 your life, turn around, start over, and do something new.
I did also want to say, we are living in such a different world than our parents lived in.
So different.
And the amount of careers that just like kind of came up as technology has advanced.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like you're trying to teach yourself how to create a podcast. Since when have we even had podcasts? Like there's no school for podcasting.
It's so funny. I'm sure there is. Actually, it's super funny because I went to a communications school for my undergrad. I went to Ohio University and they had a podcasting studio. And I used to make fun of that podcasting studio. Also, guys, like, we're sitting in a public library right now, and there's a window, and people just keep walking by, and I'm making eye contact with them.
My back is to the door, and thank God, because I have the worst ADD, and I would not be able to keep my train of thought.
Walking by, like... Anyways,
no.
There was a podcasting studio in my college, and I used to be like, oh my God, what the hell is a podcast?
Yeah.
And now I'm like listening to all the podcasts. I'm like, give me the tips, give me the tea, tell me the murder. Like, like lay it down. But yeah, it is a very hard skill because it's something kind of like how you said, you knew like you wanted to go into culinary and then you kind of decided hair was for you. For me, I feel like things have changed. I just knew that I liked talking. I knew that I liked people. But I wish I would have known sooner that like I was passionate about podcasting because I could have maybe found a mentor or found someone before. And now I'm just kind of doing it by myself and it's fine, but we're learning as we're going. And that's okay. It's never too late.
That's the thing. You're not on a timeline. You could still always find a mentor.
I have been reaching out to different people on LinkedIn and connecting with just industry professionals and kind of helping them guide my career because I'm now like 5 years into my career and I feel like I kind of hit a plateau and I just need some more advice. So I definitely recommend to you guys, if there's a certain industry you want to break into, don't be scared to reach out to people because I think all people are really just here to help and want to point you in the right direction.
We are ever evolved and changing and it is not too late to ask for help.
No, seriously, asking for help is the best thing you can do for yourself. Next, I was wondering if you could walk me through a little bit of like a day in your life. I thought we could both talk about it. I could talk about it through the lens of I'm in a 9 to 5, and you could talk about it through like this is what my typical day looks like as a hairstylist in New York.
Oh, your life is gonna be so much more put together.
That's okay. Do you want to hear Marissa's day in the life, plus more about Beyond the 9 to 5 with a hairstylist in New York City? Make sure to tune into our episode next week for more. As always, I'm Darian Alexis, and don't forget to survive and thrive.